Hey Clear Lake peeps, Ross England here, Clear Lake Guide Service with your fishing report for May 20th, 2021. Hope you're all having a good time. I'm stuck kind of working out of the garage this afternoon. We had work scheduled for today, but the wind is absolutely ripping. So it's one of those things that sometimes the best thing to do is just don't do it. So that's what we chose to do, is don't do it. We rescheduled for another day. So there's always another day that you can fish. Speaking of which, coming up the next couple days, I don't know if you folks have noticed the forecast, but we actually have the next 2 mornings, we have a weather forecast of 39 degrees in the next 2 days for Thursday morning and Friday morning, with a frost advisory. Actually, the frost advisory is supposed to be a little bit more for upper lake area and over to the west, but nonetheless, the big story there is pressure change, wind, some really cold temperatures for morning lows. The last week or so it's been 50s, high 40s, really low 50s. So things are really starting to turn around really well. So, okay, let me get back into my original format. So, water conditions. No, let's go lake level first. Lake level is all over the board. I think that it is around 0.6. It's really hard to tell because when the wind blows as hard as it's blown the last couple days, it literally sucks water out of the upper end of the lake, away from the Lakeport shoreline, and down towards the Narrows and down into the bottom portion of the lake. So it's one of those things that when you see that happen, this lake doesn't drop 6 inches in one day. So my best guess is it's about 0.6. Not going to have any problems launching over the next couple of weeks, so don't worry about it. There's a few launch ramps that are getting really low, but other than that, I even talked to somebody who launched at the Konocti Vista Resort, and they were able to get in and out of there, but they said it was pretty tight. So I certainly wouldn't recommend it, but it can be done. So there's your water level. Water conditions. Amazingly, I cannot even tell you why, but the last report that we did, there was a couple of things that I have to go back and clean up from our previous report. The first one, I told you the water clarity wasn't that great around the lake. I tape these typically on Wednesday afternoons. I did it after we fished. It wasn't that great. Thursday I come out and I can see in a lot of different places. I can see 5, 6, 7 feet. Even in some areas that it wasn't that deep. I mean, 3 and 4 feet. It was absolutely crystal clear in some of those areas. Not clear to the extent that you could just see bottom. It was clear to the extent that you could tell everything that was laying on the bottom. So water conditions have changed dramatically, and I really don't have a good reason for it. I've really not seen it, this much of the lake clear up this quickly and stay like this for this long. So I think the cool weather the next couple of days, cooler mornings, probably going to help that. So weeds are starting to come up around the lake, so what that means is as soon as they start topping out, if they get thick enough in areas, they're not going to be, it's going to be pretty skinny water in behind them, but that water is going to be pretty clear unless they come out and start, killing some of the weeds. So overall, the water conditions, I think, have changed dramatically in the last week. Water temperature, pretty much hanging around 68, 69 in the morning, up to the warmest I saw was 71 to 72, somewhere in that range. I kind of expect it'll drop off couple of degrees after, the next couple of days, but we'll see what happens. It's supposed to be sunny, but it's just, there's some really weird weather that's coming over the next couple of days, so we'll see what happens. Activities. I had to bring the iPad out, man. There's a lot going on this coming weekend. And before I jump into what's coming up this weekend, I always make an effort to get all the information that I put out to you folks correct. And I messed up last week. I don't know how I did it because I looked at my permits. My permit said there was a BBT tournament up here. I went and I looked at their website and I didn't see it. I looked at all their schedules and somehow I overlooked it. I went back this afternoon just to make sure, and sure enough it was right there, so it was nobody's mistake but mine, but I messed it up. And I tell you what, I paid the price because it was busy up here Thursday and Friday. There was a lot of activity and I'm thinking, man, I must have hosed up something. So I did a little research and yeah, I did. So I apologize for that. That's why I'm out here right now with my iPad in hand. This weekend, man, it's the average bass boater isn't going to really have a big issue, but I'm telling you, this weekend, the belly boaters and kayak fishermen are taking over the lake. So we have and I'm just going to give you, these are the ones that are either going, well, I'll just read them down the list. The Wild West Bass Trails is a 2-day event starting Saturday, runs Saturday, Sunday. I believe that's a kayak event. Then there's the Basin Bass Masters, which is a club that's on Saturday. Sonoma County Belly Boaters, Saturday and Sunday. Bass in Tubes, Saturday and Sunday. California Bass Nation Kayak Event, Sunday only. So there's going to be kayakers and tubers all over the place. So all I can tell you, guys and gals, be courteous, pay attention. I'll tell you what, I've seen some of these kayakers out in the middle of nowhere that if you really weren't paying attention and it was not flat water, you might miss them. So keep an eye out for them. The way that their events usually go is they have a kind of a starting time, but they can branch out and go from anywhere. So I'm not sure where they're based out of for these events, but typically they let their people go to different launch ramps and whatnot, give them a starting time, and then they go. So big weekend for kayakers. So there's the activities. That's the weather, the conditions, the activities. Let's talk about fishing a little bit. Thursday, Friday, 30 fish days, easy. Probably could have done more. We passed on a lot of fish. It was a mix of sight fishing, well, starting out with topwater, and then sight fishing, and then just fishing in areas that we're pretty confident they were bedding fish, whether we could see them or not. Some of them were dock fish, some of them were just in between the docks, some of them were just in areas that we knew basically there were fish spawning. Most of them were in, probably the shallowest fish we caught were in 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water, out to maybe 7 or 8 feet of water. Majority of them were probably in the 5 to 6 foot range. So that was the case for Thursday and Friday. Let's see, Monday, different story. We started getting killed by the wind a little bit on Monday. We still did okay. We ended up with, I think, 31 or 32 fish, and it was pretty much a mix of the same things. Cinco, drop shot, topwater fish, poppers, buzzbaits. I think we even had a couple of bites on frogs. And most of the same depths that we were fishing last week. I think the deepest fish we caught was maybe 7 or 8 feet. Then yesterday the wind really zapped us. Top water bite was gone. We did have a couple of blow-ups, but nothing that we got in the boat. Our count went down. I think we ended up with 17 fish yesterday, and part of that was because I wasted too much time trying to make a topwater bite go that obviously had gone away from me for that morning. It was kind of breezy yesterday morning, and I've never really done that well when there's rollers coming into places that you're fishing. Even though they weren't big rollers, they were still rollers. Most of the fish that we caught were drop shot and Senko fish. We did catch some fluke fish, and the same thing for yesterday. I think I may have got my Monday and Tuesday mixed up a little bit, but anyway, caught some fluke fish, caught some jig fish. Believe it or not, I can report we actually caught some jig fish and we lost some jig fish. But you know, the weather kind of hosed me a little bit because I just couldn't get and hold in the areas that I really wanted to fish. So I think that's going to be a case. It's obviously the reason why we didn't fish today. Probably going to be a little bit of a challenge the next couple of days for the same reasons. So the interesting thing for me, I've said it before, I've said it again, I love to sight fish, and if that opportunity shows up, we're going to do it. And that kind of bailed me out Monday afternoon because we got off to kind of a slow start on Monday morning. So the sight fishing was available. Disheartening thing, I really still haven't seen in the last week and a half, I have not seen a fish that was 5 pounds or better. Although we did catch one yesterday that was pushing 6. That was on a fluke. I don't think it was an accident we caught it, but the bait was actually a fluke. So, pretty good, actually, pretty good day, all things considered. So, just not, you know, for all the water that now I can see in, I'm just not seeing the big fish. And I still think a big portion of it is just I'm not able to see out deeper. Hopefully, the wind starts kind of coming back under control. I can get back out and start fishing in a little bit deeper water if this water clarity holds up. So anyway, there's the report. Look out for all of our buddies that are out there in their kayaks and their float tubes this weekend. They're not nearly as mobile as us, and I'll tell you what, as high tech as these things are getting, they can move all over the place. So who knows where you might see them. Kind of keep an eye out for them. If you fish this week, watch out for the wind. Don't take a beating. There's always another day. So if you like our report, like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. And we'll drop a report to you next week. Thank you.